Egyptologists have discovered what may be the oldest and most complete mummy ever discovered in Egypt.
I put my head inside to see what could be inside the sarcophagus. A beautiful mummy of a man completely covered with layers of gold.
Archaeologists in Egypt made a groundbreaking discovery this week, emerging from deep underground. And far in the past, a sarcophagus sees light for the first time in more than 4,000 years.
I always looked at his mummy and I said, this is no mummy, this is a sleeping beauty.
Apart from offering a glimpse into the past, some archaeological finds are so unsettling that they defy our understanding of history. Be it creepy remnants or mind-blowing artifacts, much lies in the ground beneath our feet. So, let's count down some of the scariest discoveries that honestly shouldn't exist. Now, let's go all the way back to 1817, when an Italian searching the Egyptian grounds made a remarkable find: the mummy of Seti I, father of the famous Ramesses, that outshone even his son. Arguably the most well-preserved mummy found in the Valley of the Kings. The tomb turned out to be the longest at 446 feet and the deepest of all the New Kingdom royal tombs. Back then, mummification was a wild process, but ancient Egyptians were basically masters of ancient plastic surgery who made sure Seti's mummy was handsome enough for his afterlife adventures. King Tut's mummy. Back in 1922, British archaeologists made a stunning discovery in Luxor's Valley of the Kings that captivated the experts and general public all over the globe alike: the mummy of King Tutankhamun, and recently it was displayed to the public for the first time in nearly a century. This 5-foot, 6-inch tall mummy offered a glimpse of the shriveled face and body of the 19-year-old pharaoh. Now, you might be thinking, why did they suddenly open up its stone coffin? Well, the experts wanted to preserve the mummy in a better way and recover the damage done over time. Mummy in ropes. A group of archaeologists working in an underground tomb at Cajamarquilla near Lima, Peru, made a very odd discovery: a mummy that was estimated to be about 12,000 years old. Strangely, its entire body was tied up in ropes and had its hands covering its face. The discovery was a reflection of the local funeral customs of the pre-Inca civilization. They also found funerary offerings such as stone tools and ceramic pots. Although the site is pretty important historically, it has suffered damage from nearby cities. Hunched aliens. Peru has become famous for their bizarre mummy discoveries. Here's another startling find that surfaced in the same area. A couple of odd-looking skeletons were unearthed. They were found in an unusual fetal position. After analysis, it was revealed that these beings once walked like us and were nearly our height. However, those were the only similarities, as the skeletons had 3-fingered hands and feet, along with oddly shaped skulls. As experts search for answers, the question remains: if these remains were extraterrestrials, then are we not actually alone in this universe? Bog body. A family of farmers was digging for peat in a remote wetland in Denmark, when instead they found a male corpse, naked with a noose around its neck. The farmers believed it was a criminal case, and they quickly called the authorities. After testing and analyzing, a shocking truth was revealed, as that corpse was estimated to be over 2,400 years old. Experts confirmed it as a bog body, a type of natural mummification preserved by peat bogs. These bog bodies offer unique insights into ancient lifestyles. Cracked skull.
Here we have the small skull, and what's interesting on this skull is the hole that you can see on top of it.
A team of experts exploring Actun Tunichil Muknal, a cave in Belize, weren't expecting to find this: a bunch of human remains strewn about the cave, including those of young children and adults. but among all the remains in pristine condition, one of them looked a bit out of the ordinary. A skull was sporting a weird crack on it. Later, an expert was able to tell that the cave was believed to be a gateway to the underworld, where their gods and ancestors resided, as ancient Mayan people used sacred rituals, including human sacrifices, to satisfy their gods during difficult times. These remains might be from those ancient rituals. Skinny mummy. Peruvian archaeologists excavating near the Cajamarquilla archaeological complex, near the outskirts of Lima, unearthed this over 1,000-year-old mummy with preserved skin and hair. Researchers speculated that the mummy belonged to a teen who lost its life due to a ritual sacrifice. This wasn't the only mummy speculated to be the victim of such customs, because before this well-preserved mummy, the remains of children and adults were also uncovered, and they were also believed to be the victims of a ritual sacrifice. Ice Maiden. Back in 1995, a group hiking the mountain range of the Andes in Peru made a remarkable discovery. A teenage girl was found frozen in the ice. Calling the authorities, the frozen mummy was excavated and sent for research. Experts revealed that the girl belonged to the Inca era and dated back to almost 500 years. You might be thinking about how she ended up frozen on that mountain. Well, experts suggested she was probably a victim of a ritualistic sacrifice, a practice pretty common in the Inca Empire. They believed they needed to offer young girls to please their gods so their country could remain prosperous. Garbage dump surprise.
Researchers say a skull wrapped in cotton was found first.
A garbage dump near the Peruvian capital of Lima held a shocking revelation for a group of local archaeologists. A skull of a 3,000-year-old mummy was found wrapped in cotton. Further excavations at the Huaca La Florida site revealed the rest of the mummy. Researchers believe they have discovered a pre-Hispanic burial with the individual offered up as a human sacrifice during the construction of the temple that once stood at the site. Experts believe these kinds of burial sacrifices were common in the culture of the ancient Peruvian people.
Excavations at the Huaca La Florida archaeological site revealed the rest of the mummy.
Ancient skeleton. Archaeologists working at an excavation site in Pompeii's ruins made a startling discovery of two ancient skeletons, captured at the moment of their demise. The bodies were discovered in a staircase of a villa. One of them likely belonged to a wealthy man in his 30s or 40s, while the other was probably of a younger man, possibly a servant. The experts were even able to find that both men were wearing tunics, possibly made of wool. Pompeii, an ancient town in Italy, was destroyed in 79 AD by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, preserving the city and its inhabitants and making it a time capsule into the ancient Roman world. Pompeii ruins. Our futuristic technology just achieved another milestone by picturing the faces of the unfortunate people in the ruins of Pompeii, an ancient city in Italy that was naturally preserved after a natural disaster. A team of scientists was studying 15 bodies found together in very unusual positions. After a series of testing and x-rays, they were able to identify a rather well-preserved mummy of an adult male who was probably a soldier. By using preserved parts and filling in the rest, they created a lifelike image of the young soldier. Not only imagining the modern future, we can now also create pictures of the past. Giant skeleton.
There's our giant human being.
Try and put myself here for reference.
In the south of Thailand, within an ancient cave, lie the remains of a giant human being, a truly mysterious archaeological find. Resting on its side, the skeleton was not alone. Another set of remains belonging to an animal, possibly a serpent-like creature, were wrapped around the human skeleton. The whole spectacle seemed as if both the giant human and the creature lost their lives while locked in a struggle. Many speculations have arisen among the viewers, with some skeptics calling it a cement structure, while others believed it looked too realistic to have been sculpted.
There's our giant human being.
Try and put myself here for reference.
Pregnant mummy. Archaeologists working at the royal tombs in Thebes found a coffin that was said to reside a male priest and was sent to Warsaw in 1826. However, researchers were in for quite a surprise when they found that inside the coffin there was a female mummy, and a pregnant one at that. It became the first ever pregnant mummy with the fetus still intact inside of her womb and was dated back to more than 2,000 years old. The unusual discovery raised a bunch of questions as to why the mummy was buried in a male coffin and why they did not remove the fetus from her body. With no confirmed answers, the mystery of this female mummy has remained for centuries. Cyclops skull. Workers going about their routine at a farm in the Midwest found this huge skull that didn't seem to make any sense to them. With a big hole in the middle of its forehead, it looked like the one-eyed Cyclops from myths. In the legends, Cyclops are huge, fierce giants with one big eye in the middle of their skulls. Modern science says it's due to a rare birth defect called cyclopia that results in one eye socket, but it doesn't explain this giant, old fossil find. Were there really these enormous Cyclops monsters in the past, or did someone mistake them for something else? Let me know what you guys think of this discovery. Mummified hand. Now, have a look at this mummy that was discovered twice. A real-life mummified hand with detailed fingernails and wrinkled knuckles was found in a very surprising place, a sci-fi studio in Los Angeles. And no, it wasn't a prop. Turns out the hand was part of a bundle of stolen treasures, including a child's sarcophagus. Unfortunately, the priceless artifacts were returned to their rightful owner in Egypt. The unusual discovery highlighted the importance of protecting the ancient heritage from illegal trade and destruction. Creepy hand. A video shared by some anonymous user claims to capture a very odd piece of artifact. A strange-looking hand with red-colored strings coming out from 3 of the erect fingers, while the last 2 seem to be wrapped up in some sort of cloth. And what made this even more mysterious was that scientists had no clue about this piece or who it belonged to. Some people speculated that it might belong to an ancient warrior. However, nothing has been concluded by any scientific community. So for now, the creepy secrets related to this hand remain a mystery. Creepy skull. After a guy had witnessed a strange light streak across the sky, on the location of the fall, he found this. A bizarre-looking skull with an unnaturally large cranium and closely set eyes. Also, it didn't look like it belonged to a human. This skull even left experts scratching their heads. Netizens tried to speculate its origins. Some said it was an alien skull. Others said it might belong to a mutated human. But with no such report, the theory was dismissed. Even to this day, the skull has remained an unsolved mystery. Sickle skeleton.
It was very common to put a sickle over the neck of the person who could be a vampire.
Archaeologists working on a burial site in Poland made a very creepy discovery. The skeletal remains of a female were found in a grave that made global headlines. It was all due to the strange condition she was found in: a sickle around her neck and a padlock on her foot. Experts estimated that the skeleton dates back to the 17th century, a time when the fear of vampires was at its peak. Local folklore suggested that the people who were suspected of being vampires were feared in this life and in their afterlife as well. That's why they were buried with the sickle to prevent them from coming back.
It shows that they were really scared of her.
Pits of Shimao. Shimao is an ancient site along the Great Wall of China, with a stepped pyramid nearby. While exploring the place, archaeologists came across a very gruesome sight. 6 pits were discovered, all filled with human remains, and research revealed that they all belonged to young girls. The skulls were carefully placed rather than discarded, so experts speculated they might be the remains of human sacrifice from the ancient era. The unusual discovery has left scientists scrambling for answers, but no one could tell why all those girls were sacrificed. Futile Run. Initiated in 2012, while archaeologists were working on an excavation project in Pompeii, Italy, they stumbled upon a dramatic discovery: a skeleton of a man crushed under a rock dating back to 79 AD. The skeleton is believed to belong to a 30-year-old man fleeing from the ash of Mount Vesuvius. Researchers believe that the man was running towards Mount Vesuvius when he realized what was happening. But his efforts to escape were too little, too late, as a rock thrown by the natural disaster led to his tragic fate. Vampire graves. From Bram Stoker's Dracula to the Twilight movies, we've all heard stories about these creatures who roamed the night, searching for humans to feed on. Well, by the looks of this discovery, they might have been real. While excavating a monastery in Bulgaria, archaeologists have unearthed 700 graves, 2 of which were a little odd. The human remains reveal that right after their burial, the bodies were retrieved and pierced with iron rods. Scholars have said that they were believed to be vampires, but the skeletons showed no signs of longer teeth associated with the nocturnal creatures. So, could it be that these human individuals were mistaken for being vampires? Or maybe our depictions of them have been incorrect. Skeleton from the Dark Ages. The discovery of a 1,000-year-old grave near Kyiv, Ukraine, has unearthed the mysterious burial practices of the Dark Ages. Archaeologists found 107 skeletons buried with bizarre objects. Each of the female skeletons wore rings around their neck, curiously, of different colors and shapes. Researchers have speculated it could be for social markers, but there's much more they don't know and are trying to uncover. Viking Britain. On the Isle of Harris in the Outer Hebrides, archaeologists have made a startling discovery, bringing to light what might be evidence of the earliest Vikings. These fierce warriors have gripped our imaginations like no other, and now we have a chance to see if they truly lived up to their savage reputations. A mass grave containing at least 35 people was found in a pit in Oxford, dating back to 998 and 1019 AD. The dates align with St. Brice's Dane massacre, where Anglo-Saxons turned against the Danes. The signs of trauma on the skeletal remains tell a tale of brutality. One of the skulls exhibited 10 stab wounds along with 2 puncture wounds, leaving Viking fans raving about this incredible discovery. Dinosaur within dinosaur. If you're a dinosaur enthusiast, then this one has got the goods. Back in 2009, a smaller type of tyrannosaur was discovered near Brooks, Alberta. After years of testing and research, experts found something extraordinary. Bones of another animal were found inside the stomach of the tyrannosaur, making it the first time such a discovery was made. They found intact leg bones from small bird-like dinosaurs called centipes, making the tyrannosaur's diet include younger prey. This discovery was considered very important, as it offered knowledge about the hunting and feeding habits of tyrannosaurs. Giant skull. Back in 1926, an archaeologist made an amazing discovery in Ur, an ancient city in Iraq. He found a huge graveyard with thousands of graves, some belonging to people really far back in time. And to make the discovery truly interesting, they were filled with incredible treasures like gold statues and jewels. But the most mind-blowing discovery was a tomb belonging to someone who was probably really important. Only a skull left behind it was found wearing a crown, and its strange looks made people wonder if the skull was something other than human. Animal mummies. Not only preserving pharaohs, but Egyptians were also equally obsessed with their animals. Recently, Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities unveiled details of newly discovered animal mummies, which included 5 lion cubs, along with other animals such as cats, birds, and crocodiles. The discoveries came as a surprise to these experts. Along with the mummies, they also found a stone scarab, believed to be the largest of its kind ever found. The discovery sheds light on ancient Egyptians' religious and cultural practices. Unicorn skull. A man was digging through his yard when he spotted strange ridges in the ground, using his hands to carefully excavate whatever he had found. As he dusted away, he found the skull of some animal, and within seconds, a single horn appeared that shocked the guy. Did he just find the skull of a mythical creature, a unicorn? As he took it out, its shape became more clear. A single long horn was at the center of its head. As the clip ended up online, many people thought the skull was a hoax, while others believed it to be the real deal. What do you guys think of it? Let me know in the comments. Mummified crocs. The excavation project at Kubat al-Hawa in Egypt unveiled a remarkable discovery that excited reptile enthusiasts worldwide when workers stumbled upon a collection of mummified crocodile remains, estimated to be over 2,000 years old. They noticed that the crocodiles were exceptionally well preserved, with their snouts and teeth still intact. This discovery offered valuable insights into ancient Egyptian practices of animal treatment and burial rituals. Mummified falcon. Up till now, we've seen mummified remains of humans and animals. So let's have a look at a mummified bird. A guy came into this pawn shop to sell a mummified falcon he had. So naturally, the shop owner decided to call in a natural history expert to verify if it was real or not. As the guy took a closer look, he found that the falcon was meticulously wrapped up in the fabric. And even though the sarcophagus was a bit bigger than the mummy, it still looked legit. And eventually, the guy was able to sell the falcon at a good price. Alien message.
Our ancestors had impeccable powers of observation. That's all they did all day. They observed.
Spanning 5,000 acres between Winslow and Holbrook, the Rock Art Ranch is home to one of the most well-preserved and extensive collections of ancient petroglyphs dating back to 6000 BC. Now, these ancient carvings have gripped archaeologists and researchers with some very mysterious images. Take a look at this carving with a triangular head, unmistakably that of an alien. And just beside that, there was another strange alien-like shape. The researchers were stumped by so many depictions of mysterious extraterrestrial life. Could it be that the people back then interacted with these beings, or even formed communities with them here on Earth? We can only speculate.
These were people that came here with a purpose, and the purpose was to put their history on the wall.
Reptilian fossils. Take a look at this truly magnificent find. A mountain embedded with mysterious reptilian fossils presents a window into the ancient past. Judging by the shape and size of the reptiles, one can only think of dragons. Could these ancient relics be pointing towards a new understanding of the prehistoric times? The video has spread like wildfire in the online community, and no one has been able to figure out what these creatures are, or how they got there. Could dragons be more than just mythical lore? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Nephilim ring. Archaeologists have discovered something that defies history as we know it. A giant ring, the size of a fist, nestled in a quarry. With intricate designs carved on it, the ring was estimated to be 13,000 years old. If the size of the ring is this big, one can only imagine the actual size of the being that wore it. A frenzy of speculation has broken out, with many people certain that this was a sign that giants once roamed our planet. Some keen viewers noticed the ring's technological design, wondering what the dial on its side was for. Golden tongue. We've all heard of people with a heart of gold, But what about a person with a tongue of gold? Archaeologists in Egypt discovered a 2,000-year-old mummy with a tongue of pure gold alongside 15 other burials in Taposiris Magna. They believe that this bizarre upgrade allowed the deceased to speak with gods in the afterlife. The Egyptian Antiquities Ministry believed that the reason for this new tongue was due to a speech impediment, but they still remain uncertain as to why gold was used for the purpose. Alien skull. Some very strange pictures of skulls have been making headlines in a mainstream Russian newspaper. With large eye sockets and nose holes, but surprisingly no opening for a mouth, the skulls have baffled scientists. The remains are believed to be retrieved by a secret organization specializing in forbidden archaeology and supernatural mysteries. Could this finally be proof of extraterrestrial life on Earth? Or an elaborate hoax? People have conflicting opinions. Some have argued that these could be man-made, while others believe that this is concrete evidence for aliens' existence on Earth. Dinosaur claw. Back in 1986, an archaeological team discovered a giant claw hidden in a dark cave on Mount Owen, New Zealand. The claw was so well preserved that the scales on its skin were still visible, looking like it belonged to a dinosaur. But after examining it, the scientists found that it was actually the claw of a prehistoric bird called upland moa, which roamed the area 33,000 years ago. The largest bird on Earth, the moa used to have 10 different species, with some reaching a staggering 10 feet in height. This particular upland moa was estimated to be 4.2 feet tall, which was still huge. Scientists are even hoping to clone the moa thanks to the well-preserved claw, using chicken embryos. Is anyone else getting mad scientist vibes? Georgian remains. In the village of Orozmani in southwest Georgia, archaeologists have unearthed artifacts and human skeletal remains dating back to the early Stone Age era. Having human-like body structures and the capability of making primitive tools, they were believed to be the oldest known human ancestors, the Homo erectus. They have also discovered Oldowan tools that were used in the Lower Paleolithic period, about 1.7 to 2.6 million years ago. Researchers said that this site was evidence of their presence outside of Africa, and is an important link in understanding their migration out of the African continent. 12 millennia old grave. Funerals are a practice humans have been carrying out in honor of the deceased for thousands of years. Now, let's take a look at how they practiced it in prehistoric society. A group of archaeologists have found a 12,000-year-old grave located in northern Israel, and what they found inside will shock you. In an ancient cave lies the body of a female shaman surrounded by some other creepy objects. This discovery marks one of the earliest burial ceremonies to have ever been uncovered, presenting a whole new understanding of the Natufian period. Dino bones.
Pretty much as long as I can remember, so it's pretty amazing to finally find something real.
A 12-year-old Calgary boy west of Drumheller was hiking with his dad when he stumbled upon a discovery of a lifetime, a 69-million-year-old dinosaur fossil, and little Nathan just couldn't contain his excitement. Taking pictures of the fossil, they sent them to the Tyrrell Museum, and an archaeological team soon arrived at the site. They uncovered the upper forearm bone along with a well-preserved skull belonging to a duck-billed dinosaur. Researchers say this was a significant find because it fills in the time gap in their research. Looks like Nathan will go on to become a big deal in the world of paleontology. Dino remains. Paleontologists have found the remains of the largest animal to have ever walked the Earth. In 2012, in the Neuquén province of Patagonia, Argentina, they stumbled upon 98-million-year-old fossilized remains of a dinosaur. The massive bones belong to a titanosaur, the last surviving group of the long-necked sauropods. The creature is thought to be 20% bigger than the Patagotitan, previously known to be the biggest dinosaur ever found, weighing 70 tons. More work needs to be done before experts estimate the weight of this giant titanosaur. Egyptian yeast.
They were obsessed with living, and they wanted to live the best life they could, and they wanted that to continue if they could after death.
While searching Tutankhamun's tomb, packed with dazzling treasures, archaeologists have found something very interesting. Egyptians believed that the end of life was just an extension of life, so you needed to eat in the afterlife. So among his treasures, they found some really well-preserved snacks. He was provided with wine and bread, pomegranates, and even garlic and green onions for flavoring his food, with an addition of pitted dates. Turns out these were just appetizers. For the entree, the boy king had his choice of anything he liked from Egypt's finest meats. Here's another ancient Egyptian discovery. This time, it's a 4,500-year-old yeast, and this guy here thought of making bread with it. After carefully extracting it from these pots and mixing it with an ancient grain, there you have it, a 4,500-year-old bread. You might be thinking eating this ancient yeast can't be any good. Well, yeast is a microbe, and when the bread was baked at high temperature, nothing harmful remained. Asteroid Watch.
His name is my first watch.
If you like to be the center of attention in a room, then this piece of luxury is for you. All the way from the asteroid belt, this stunning watch was carved from the Greco-Genovese asteroid that fell in Argentina. Unlike any watch you've ever seen, with predator-inspired hieroglyphs and looking like it belongs from the Stone Age, this watch is an iconic piece. Here's another watch that left Chinese archaeologists shocked when they discovered it in a 400-year-old sealed tomb. It was a tiny Swiss ring watch with a relatively modern design, found as archaeologists were removing the soil around a coffin. It makes one wonder how it got into a tomb that was undisturbed for 400 years. For some people, this could only mean one thing: the evidence of time travel, while others thought it was part of an elaborate prank. Ancient cemetery. Just a few centimeters underneath the grounds in Lima, Peru, archaeologists have found a 2,000-year-old cemetery. Excavations have led to the unearthing of 6 bodies so far, and dozens of artifacts, most of them curious vases. This discovery was made while construction workers were installing gas lines. The archaeologists have dated the remains back to the 8th century AD. Researchers are trying their best to unveil more about these ancient remains. It's time for today's open discussion. This picture going around on the internet was captured when archaeologists uncovered a 5,400-year-old ancient Egyptian mummy. Discovered back in 1896, the mummy was found in a very weird position. But its looks weren't the only thing that surprised the archaeologists. It was the process of mummification that needed detailed attention and explanation. The researchers found it wasn't preserved by the traditional method. Buried naked in the hot desert sand, it naturally dried and preserved them. The mummy has been displayed in a British museum since 1901 for everyone to witness the natural process of mummification. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.